in this video, I want to share with you how to use this payroll template that I built. I sell this on Etsy and also on my website. So if you're interested, please check out the link in the description. So I built this template mainly for small business owner to track their pay for their employees, and it can accommodate up to 10 employees. It also has a pay stub that can auto-generate that information and also a dashboard. So first, let me show you all the tabs that you'll get if you purchase this, and then we'll go over an example of how it works so you can see if this is the right fit for you before purchasing, okay? So the very first tab you'll get is a dashboard. So here you can select, any year you want to look at, and then any of your 10 employees, and then you can pick the month, and then it'll tell you the gross pay for all the employees for that month. And also this is data for this particular employee that you picked here. It'll tell you the different hours that they work, whether it's regular, overtime, holiday hours, and then it'll tell you here the amount paid out for that employee for that month that you selected up here. Okay, so that's the dashboard. And then the next 10 tabs that you get is the input, the hours input for each of your employees. So you get 10 of this, so one for each employee. And in each of these input, you have 12 of these table here, so you can input the hours that the employee worked for each month and each day as well. And as you notice, on this here, March 2025, it highlights today's date, so that's one neat feature about this template. Okay, and then so the next 9 tabs, it looks exactly like this first one that I showed you here. So just just input data for each of your employee. And then the very last tab is this Paystub tab, where you can pick any of your employee name, and then the pay data, current period data, and then year-to-date data will auto-populate for that employee, depending on the period starting and ending that you put for that employee. Okay, so let's do an example. So we'll do an example for employee 1. So for employee 2 to 10, it just works the same way. Okay, so let's do an example. So so when you first get this, all of this information here will be blank, and you just need to fill out the name. So I already have it populated. So you just fill out the name that's asking here, the name of the employee, their address, date of birth, phone number, their position, the date hire, exemptions. If you know that, then you can put that. If you don't have that, then that's fine. You can put filing status if you like. And the most important thing on this table here is you need to input the regular pay rate, the overtime rate, and the holiday rate if you have them. The reason why you need to put this rate here is so that this table here could calculate that data each day for your employees' pay. Okay, and then on this on the right here, upper right, you can see that you need to input in percentages for the different type of income tax, state, federal, state, FICA, Medicare, and other. If you know what that rate is, you need to input that in for that particular employee. If you don't know or you don't have it, you can put it as 0, and it won't calculate the deduction. It will just basically the rate times 0. So there's nothing to deduct, right? And here, so we're in 2025, so this is already selected. But if you are using another year, right? So if you're working on this 2026 or 2027, what you can do is you go to dashboard and just change the year to 2026. So you can see when you change it to 2026, all of this month here and year would update. So you can see January 2026, right? February, March, April 2026. So let's put it back on 2025 because we're working in 2025. So you can see it changes back to 2025, okay? So once you have all that filled out and then you pick the correct year, then you can come here and enter your company name. So please enter this in so that it could also populate for the pay stub. So you only need to enter this in once on the employee 1, and then all the other tabs from employee 2 to employee 10, it will automatically populate this data. Okay. All right. And then after that, you just need to go in here and enter the hours that your employee worked for the day or the month, right? So let's say, for example, one of my employee worked 8 hours on 1/2/2025. So you can see as I enter 8 hours, it automatically populate the amount, right? So I put here the employee's rate is $25. Regular rate is $25. So basically what it's doing, just taking 8 times 25, so it's $200 per day that employee earned, right? And then you can see here there's calculation here as well. So Social Security, Medicare, federal income tax, state income tax, and other, because I put a rate here. So basically what it's doing is taking this rate, the gross earning, times whatever the percentage here. So that's the deduction for the day, basically. And then this is a total withheld. So basically these are just the total here. So you can see $49.80. So out of this $200 that this employee earned, $49.80 is going to be withheld, right, for income tax and other kind of deduction. But you don't want, like, for example, you put this as 0, right? So the other would be 0. Then they'll have less withholding. Okay, so if you put back 3%, you can see that, it calculates the withholding here as well as other. And then I also have a spot here that says other deductions in dollars. So if you have any other deduction that's after tax, right, and all these other deduction, you can input in here. So you want to add another $10 deduction after tax, you can put it there, and then it'll calculate the total withholding be $59.80, right? So the net earning now is reduced to $140.20. Okay, if you don't want that, then you can just clear it, then it won't have that information. All right. And let's say the employee work overtime, so we put in another 3 hours, so you can see the gross earning for the day increases, right? Because 3 times 35 is 105, so 200 plus 105, so you get 305, and also the withholding increase, all right? And then if they work holiday, then you can put the hour here, and it'll also calculate that as well, okay? And then up here, I want to show you something. So let me put another hours down here so I can show you an example. So let's say we want to generate a pay stub for this employee for February. Okay, so we want to generate the pay stub from 2/1 to 2/15. Okay, so it's asking what's the pay beginning. So 2/1/2025 to 2/15/2025. And then the pay date can be, maybe a few days after. So you can plug in there. So you can see here, the reason why I filled out for February, because I want to show you how this box here works. So you can see we put the pay beginning 2/1 and pay endings 2/15. But you notice this two amount don't match, right? Because this box here at the top, the current earnings, it's only taking dates that you've input here, right? So it's taking dates from 2/1 to 2/15. So it's just grabbing this data here. This amount, the net earnings here should be $450.60, right? It's correct here. And then the total hours that they work would be 24 hours, because this is what I input in 24 hours, right? And then, so that's correct there. And then this gross, year-to-date earnings, it's taking data from January 1st all the way to this end date that you put here. So that means it also adds up any of the data that you've input from all the way from the beginning of the calendar year to the end date that you've put. So this would be the year-to-date earnings. So this would be from January 1st, 2025 to whatever end date you have here. So that's why this one's a little bit higher than this, okay? So so that's basically how it works. So this current earnings here, it's just the end date is based on whatever end date that you have here, and the beginning date's whatever you have here. But the year-to-date earnings, its beginning date is always 1/1 of the calendar year up to the end date that you input in here, all right? So once you enter in that information and you have the pay beginning and pay ending, like you're about to pay your employee, and you put that pay beginning and pay end, and then you can go to the pay stub. You click on this, go to the pay stub, and here you can pick that particular employee, right? We did that for Jane Doe. So you can see when you pick Jane Doe, all the data for Jane Doe will populate. So from 2/1 to 2/15, Jane Doe earned this much money. And then this is their gross pay. This is their total deductions. And you can see here it automatically populate this data as well. Okay. So that's how it would work. and the process works similar to all of your other employees here, and you can do this up to 10 employees. All right. And then this dashboard here, I showed you a little bit earlier, but you can pick, Jane Doe here, and you can see we only enter in data for Jane Doe. I'm not sure why there's November. Did I forget to delete data for November? Yes. So I forgot to delete data for November, so that's why there's data here. But as you can see, we only entered, at least when I showed you, we only entered data for January and February. So when we pick Jane Doe, we pick data for Jane Doe for January. You can see these are like the breakout for January. Part of it is overtime and part of it's regular here. The pie chart here shows you that. And then this here, it just shows you data from January to December. So this is correct because we only enter in data for January and February. And then here for January, since we picked January for Jane Doe, you can see it highlighted this portion right here. It tells you how much regular hour cash or cash they earned, and then overtime, holiday, total pay, and then the total hours worked. So that's basically how this template works and how it flows. So if you find this useful, you can purchase this template on my website or on Etsy. And if you have any questions about this, please reach out. So thank you so much for watching.